Hi, this is James Gordon here with the second book in the Summer Slaughter 2 series. Today's book I'm reviewing today, Temple by Matthew Reilly. And it's got this cool die cut inside. Alright. This is from St. Martin's Press. And this was first published in 1999. This edition is from February 2002. This is a excellent action book. Like, if you want like a really hardcore action book that just keeps you on the edge of your seat and just keeps throwing twists and turns and things you don't see coming, this is a book I would definitely recommend that you check out. This is actually Matthew Reilly's second book he wrote. The first, The Contest, which he self-published. This is his second book, and it did very well. And I've read this book before. It blew my mind. It kind of reminded me of the first-person shooter game Far Cry, which is why I'm wearing this Hawaiian shirt. Is kind of a reference to that. This was just a lot of fun to read. It just had a lot of action, violence, like a lot of gore in it, and also some really cool creative kills in it. And there's it's got an excellent cast of characters, both like good guys and just the most ruthless scumbag villains you ever read. There's a lot of them in this book, and overall, this whole book is a blast. It is very thick, but the 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 story moves at a good speed, and the pacing is excellent. It doesn't drag on. It doesn't add any unwanted filler, and Matthew Reilly doesn't waste any time. He just gets right down to the story. And as soon as you start it, the action doesn't stop. There's a few moments where the characters, take a breather before the action starts up again, but he doesn't slow down at all. He's just constantly slamming his foot down and accelerate when the action starts, and he doesn't ease off till it's over. And it's like I said, it's a thick book, but as you read it, the story progresses really fast. So it moves really fast. There were, despite enjoying this book, there were some things I didn't like with it. I did have some issues with it, which I'll explain later on in my review, and some other things I didn't like. But overall, this is an excellent book. And why the hell hasn't this been made to a film yet? Like, I'm baffled by the fact that this guy has written some really good action books, and not a single one is made to a film. So Hollywood or whatever, like, get off your ass and make Temple and a bunch of other Matthew Reilly novels into films already. All right, on to the book review. Plot: January 1999. In the San Sebastian Abbey, located high in the French Pyrenees, 18 Jesuit monks are held at gunpoint by a squad of heavily armed men in black body armor, armed with HKG-11 assault rifles. Calling themselves stormtroopers, their leader, Heinrich Anastas, is pointing a Glock 18 at brother Philip D. Villers, demanding the Santiago manuscript. Villers refuses to tell Henrik where the manuscript is and begins executing the other monks till finally an older monk reveals where the Santiago manuscript is. After the older monk gives Heinrich the manuscript, he asks his men to leave and not kill anyone else. Heinrich returns to face his men and nods. They open fire with their HKG-11s, cutting down the monks. As the stormtroopers leave the abbey, they are unaware that one monk had been watching them. 3 days later, a heavily armed team of commandos raids the labs of U.S. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, or DARPA, in Arlington, Virginia. The men move quickly under the cover of darkness and swarm inside, quickly taking anyone out with silenced MP5 SDs. The squad enters a vault and carefully removes a glass case covering a titanium core-shaped chamber. Inside is a small yet powerful weapon, a supernova. After disabling its defenses, the team places the supernova inside a custom-made sling carry case and quickly flees the vault and escapes in a black van as it peels in the underground parking garage. Meanwhile, in New York City, William Race is running late for his morning lecture on Roman history at NYU. He is the youngest staff member in the ancient language department. His mind is racing with so many thoughts on the lecture along with a parking ticket he owes. However, as Race enters NYU about to run up the flight of stairs, he is suddenly stopped when two Special Forces soldiers stand in his way, both armed with M16 with M203 grenade launchers attached to them. Race is about to leave when he's suddenly called in his office. Waiting for him is retired Colonel Frank Nash along with Will John Berkelin. Also inside are two heavily armed soldiers. Nash is a physicist for DARPA and has requested Race's help in translating a Latin manuscript stating it's a matter of national security. However, he can't tell him any more information unless he accepts the offer. Race is unsure, but Nash explains his older brother, Martin Race, who also works at DARPA, along with a colleague of his, Lauren O'Connor, who's also married to Martin. They both requested Race as he's the most skilled and brilliant person at NYU who understands more languages and history than anyone else. His brother will be aiding them, but staying at base. Feeling uneasy, but is told they have to leave now as there isn't much time as they need to get on a flight. Race finally accepts and joins Nash and the others. Nash assigns Sergeant Leo Van Woolen as his personal bodyguard as he can't afford to lose Race. Going out the back entrance of the university waiting for them are two black sedans with an escort of police motorcycles and two armored Humvees. Once inside the sedan, Nash gives Race an earpiece along with a thick folder with files to look at while the motorcade moves quickly through the downpour en route to the airport. While speeding through the wet streets, Race reads over the newspaper clippings of a massacre in France, followed by two murders of FBI agents in the Rockies, along with a scientist named Albert L. Molster, who was killed by a meteor strike in Peru last year on November 98. Arriving at Newark Airport with a C-5 Galaxy transport along with a private jet, waiting to greet Race is Lauren, who is happy to see him take part in this treasure hunt. Race is told to get on board the transport as the manuscript has been brought in. The transport is loaded with a truck and an armed squad of Green Berets. Nash explains during the Spanish conquest of South America, a cruel and evil captain, Hernando Pizarro, who slaughtered his way through the people of Peru, enslaving children and women while murdering all men. In his mad conquest, Hernando was after a powerful idol known as the Spirit of the People, a dark stone that was carved into a jaguar head and has purple line vines that glow on it. It was last seen in the Temple of the Sun. However, before Hernando could take it, a Spanish monk, Santiago, turned against Gerardo and stole the Incan idol along with helping an Incan priest escape. The only clue of finding it is in his manuscript. However, when Race opens the briefcase, he finds copies of the manuscript pages, not the real one. Nash explains that a neo-Nazi group led by Henrik has taken the real manuscript as they too are after this idol, which Walter Chambers, an archaeologist from Stanford, explains the Spirit of the People idol is made of a meteor and contains tritium-261, a very rare and yet powerful element that's only found in space. Then Troy Copeland, another member from DARPA, alerts Nash that there's been a break-in in Arlington, Virginia, with several guards found dead and the supernova has been stolen. The NSCSI believes a militia group known as the Freedom Fighters are behind it. Nash tells Race the stakes have been risen and wants him to fully translate the manuscript before they reach Peru. Race begins reading the pages of Santiago's manuscript. Halfway through his reading, Copeland asks Race how's the translation coming along. Race wants to know why this tritium-261 is so important. Copeland explains it's more powerful and destructive than uranium. It can be used for two purposes, either as a cleaner source of power or creating a supernova. A bomb so powerful it could destroy the world. Race is shocked by this, but as Nash explains, the purpose of this super weapon is to ensure that no hostile forces take over the world, and if so, they'll use the supernova to end all life on Earth. Race responds to this by calling both Nash and Copeland the biggest sore losers ever. However, Nash is determined to find this idol and ensures no enemy forces can claim it. Race is left feeling uneasy knowing about this and is skeptical of Nash. After landing in Peru, Race is taken on board a Huey helicopter along with other scientists and DARPA members as they fly over the mountains of the last known location of Santiago, described in his manuscript. However, Nash gets an email that the Germans are also after the same thing and is racing to find it before they do. Using a cesium magnetometer, finding totems buried underground that leads them to a waterfalls, and below it is a village. The Huey touches down, followed by 2 more helicopters along with the C-5 Galaxy transport landing close by. After unloading with cargo, trucks, soldiers, and equipment, they turn the ruins of the Incal town into a base camp. Race is amazed by this, but is warned by Van Leeuwen not to get too close to the river as there's crocodiles watching them. Nash sets up a NRI and finds the Tritium-261 located in the mountains and orders the team to move out. As Race is following the soldiers during the heavy rainfall, he suddenly senses this isn't right as the whole jungle is dead quiet. Hiking through the mountains, then carefully walking across an old grass rope bridge, the team discovers the temple hidden deep within the rainforest. Race is a bit disturbed by it as the temple looks evil. Upon entering the temple, the team finds a message written in stone. When Race translates it, it reads, "Do not enter at any cost, death lies within." And it was written by Albert Santiago. However, just as the team is about to enter further in the temple, they are attacked by a squad of German commandos armed with HK MP5s and Steyr AUGs. They are all captured and sent back to campsite and locked up in Humvees, and the soldiers are locked up with their weapons taken away. It's the stormtroopers, as they have taken over the operation. While watching on TV screens in the Humvees, Race translates what the German team is saying to the others. Just as the stormtroopers blow through the door, they are attacked by both natives and large jaguar-like cats that shred through the commandos. In a matter of minutes, the commandos are slaughtered by these powerful big cats as the stormtroopers try using their Apache helicopters to fight back, but the cats jump at the helicopters as their powerful claws tear through the metal and glass, killing the pilots and causing the helicopters to crash. While this is going on, one big black cat jumps on the hood and rams its powerful claw through the windshield. Through Race's earpiece, Van Leeuwen tells him how to start up the Humvee and throws in reverse and then slams his foot down into the accelerator. It launches backwards, but the big black cat is still trying to reach Race. He turns the Humvee over to a jetty and crashes into a helicopter, causing the jetty to break free. Being pulled along the current, this causes the big black cat to fall into the river and is killed by a crocodile. Race Lauren Lopez manages to climb out of the Humvee but loses a member of their team as they stand on the roof. With the Humvee sinking, they jump across to shore as Van Leeuwen wants them to return, as a few German commandos revealing to be BKA agents have freed them. However, their situation is only about to get worse when they learn the stormtroopers have attacked the remaining BAK agents, along with taking out the Peru army as they are coming after them. With only one helicopter that's functional but needs repairs, their chances of escape are slim. Nash refuses to let the neo-Nazis get the idol, as it will spell disaster for the whole world, and will do whatever it takes to get it. However, Race has other ideas and will risk his life to save the world from being destroyed. The jungles of South America are about to turn into a full-out war zone. Temple is a non-stop action pack that keeps getting intense by the minute and is always keeping you on the edge of your seat. Lots of action, lots of violence, lots of gore, and a high body count that tops most action films. Heavily detailed in both places, characters, lots of weapons, other types of military vehicles within the pages, as it's always fun to see these powerful weapons and big military vehicles and aircraft in action. There were a lot of moments of double-crossing, sudden twists and turns, betrayal, and the suspense never stops. There were many characters I liked throughout this novel, and the villains are some of the most ruthless, cold-hearted, and pure evil I have ever read. No care for anyone else but themselves, and the lengths they'll go to accomplish their mission for the sake of ending the world shows what a bunch of crazy psychopaths they are, and are willing to kill their own as well. Watching Will and Race face off against these madmen, as they are just as dangerous as the supernova itself. While there are many moments I enjoyed within this novel, and it was interesting to have the diary entries from Santiago taking us back to the origins of this idol during the Spanish conquest of South America. However, there were some plot issues I had, with one stating the reason for two military branches fighting against each other in order to be the more superior than the other, so they'll stay in power while the other is terminated. There is no way that the U.S. government would ever get rid of one of its three major forces, as it would be weakening itself, as without the Navy, Air Force, or Marines, they would be an insufficient fighting force. I also don't think they would ever want to use a weapon that could cause the whole world to end, as that's way too extreme if you ask me. However, there was a lot of fun. However, this was a lot of fun reading Temple, as I enjoyed its many moments of non-stop action, lots of shootouts and intense fight scenes, along with some really cool creative kill scenes too. Matthew Reilly is a solid writer. He knows how to write a heavily layered story with well-crafted characters too. Not once does he add any unwanted filler or drag out any scenes. He doesn't waste a second with this story. He's already on the move the moment you begin reading it, and only slams his foot down on the accelerator when it's time to increase the action. Overall, I highly recommend Temple if you want a non-stop action-packed novel that will keep you on the edge of your seat till you reach the very end. Then check out Temple. You won't be bored nor disappointed by it. You'll be highly entertained by it. And that's for the review today. Hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah, I had a real blast reading Temple again. It was just so much fun, and I love the fact that Matthew Reilly is using like experimental weapons that were tested by the military but never used, such as the HKG-11. The Comanche makes an appearance as well, along with some other weapons. It's just a lot of fun. Like this guy knows his stuff when it comes to all this military hardware and stuff. As I said, reading the book makes me think of the video game Far Cry. It's just like this, like high octane, like action thrill ride, which Far Cry is also about, and it takes place in a tropical area, like in Temple 2. So that's another reason why I enjoy reading this book. It's like the closest thing I'll get to a like something similar to Far Cry with Temple. I really like the characters in it. Reading the book, it does make me kind of think of like, what if Indiana Jones was mixed with a bunch of action movies, and basically this is what you get if you take like the first segment out of like Raiders of the Lost Ark and did a whole story based on that, but just threw in like a bunch of like action movies like Die Hard and a whole bunch of others into the mix, and you get Temple essentially. There, but as I said, despite like enjoying this book, the few things I did not like of it was the whole thing about this plan the government had that was going to terminate one of its three major forces, so as they feel it would be unnecessary by the year 2010 to have either the Navy, the Marines, or the Air Force. I thought there's no way in hell they would do this. Like, they would keep all three. Why would you want to remove one of your fighting forces? Without one of them, you're basically making yourselves weaker. Like, what if you have to get there's an attack going on across the sea, and you need to get a aircraft carrier to the sea to bring fighters in. Like if you don't have the Navy, then you can't do that, or the Air Force, I should say. And also, if there's like a hostage situation on a cruise ship and you need to send a team in, you need the Navy for it. Without the Navy, you can't do anything about that. And it's just, that was the one thing I really didn't like. I felt that was a very, very unbelievable, and I felt it was like really extreme that this weapon that that they would want to make a weapon that would basically be the end of the world. I thought that is just way too extreme. I don't think they would ever want anyone to use that. They might capture it so no one, gets a hold of it to use it, but I thought this is way too extreme to use a weapon like of this. Just to, if the country gets taken over, you rather just end the whole existence of the world rather than like form a resistance group and overthrow the enemy. I thought that was just a little too extreme, if you ask me. Oh, and then there was a part which I kind of didn't like. I thought, really, you got to make the main character do this, where later on in the book, Race gets captured by a native tribe, and to prove his worthiness, he has to face against a crocodile, and he has to kill it, not with his bare hands, no, of course. He has to get it into a trap, and he has to activate this trap to kill it. I thought, really, you're gonna kill this poor crocodile that's in this pit that just wants to get out, and you're gonna have Race try to kill it to prove that he's worthy to the tribe? I thought it was just, I didn't like that scene at all. But overall, Temple is still a lot of fun to read. And as I said, why the hell has this not been made into a goddamn movie yet? Or any Matthew Reilly book, for that matter of fact. Like, I understand. Like, I remember reading about that Hollywood was interested in adapting the Scarecrow series, but I really hope Matthew Reilly has some other choices for the main character for Scarecrow, because he was picking Tom Cruise, and like, if he picks Tom Cruise, I don't want to see it. I'd rather him pick someone else. There's many like actors I think that would fit the role a lot better for Scarecrow than Tom Cruise, if you ask me. But I really wish these books would, like Temple and the Scarecrow series, would be made into films. Like, there's like so much potential with these books, and I don't know why no one has bothered trying to adapt these into film. These would make great films. But if you haven't read anything by Matt Roy, Temple will be a good starting point to get his work. The Scarecrow series is just a 4-book series, so it's not nothing like too long and stuff. And this guy has a bunch of other books I've read. But I have not read one single bad book by this author. I enjoyed his other book. What was that one? Oh, the Great Zoo in China. That was a really fun book. I remember when that came out. People were comparing it to Jurassic Park, which is bullshit. It's a completely different story. Nothing like Jurassic Park at all. There's another series like that. Well, it's just one book, but they kind of cut the book down into parts to make it into a series. The Hover Car Racer. I heard that's supposed to be good. I'll have to check that out. But lately, Matthew Reilly hasn't published anything else that's piqued my interest. He's done like a bunch of like young adult books. So I'm hoping that he'll get back into some serious adult stuff again. All right. That's the review. I hope you enjoyed it. And for my next book, I am going to the third book in the Summer Slaughter 2 series, The Patch. I know that I only got like 9 days before this month is over, so I'm gonna try to squeeze 3 books into this month to get this Summer Slaughter 2 series done on time, so that way it doesn't drag out into September like last year. So I'm gonna try to squeeze 3 books in. I'm gonna be reading a lot of pages a day, so I'm gonna try to get these reviews up as quickly as possible. Then after that, I will move on to my Dark Tower series. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share, and don't forget to subscribe to our Toro Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, and please post your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.